computer. There she is. Okay,
I
sorry about
like her.
that.
Recording in progress. Okay, so that is who you are, who you're talking to. Now you're going to fill that in with your intention. So now you kind of got a little structure. Again, I keep emphasizing this because it's so important. You don't have to think about, like if you set your intention for, oh, let's see, to caution, you don't have to think, okay, well, what would my voice sound like if it was cautioning someone? You see what I mean? So don't let it's a Buddhist phrase, elaboration of thought. Like, see if you can get rid of your thought process, sort of taking that further. Okay, so then we talk about pace, which is pace and formality or dials from 1 to 10. So you want to you want to think about what is going to affect the pace of this read. Formality, what's going to affect the formality of this read? So are you talking to toddlers about their first words, or are you talking about oncologists about the next big cancer treatment? Right. So those are and visuals. That's the other one. So you got to know what the visuals are doing, and we're going to talk about that. So that's in a nutshell, that's the foundations. Let me give me just a second. So I'll write down as we go what handouts I'm going to send you.
I must say those three dials I've had them on my wall for so long, and it's really easy just to quickly refer to it. You know, what am I doing? All right, what's my what number pace am I starting at? What number formality am I starting at? And it really just gives you something to quickly lock into before you
Thank you.
start.
I'm so glad about that. Okay, so that's basically it for foundations. I mean, it seems arduous. I don't want you to get tripped up like, oh my gosh, I got to think about all that stuff. But like I said, what we're doing, the whole purpose of that is to eventually get that just in your instincts. So you're honing your instincts, and and until you do that, using the foundations to kind of as training wheels. Okay, so I would like to now just jump right into a read with all of you. And then as things come up, now keep in mind, it's not like each of you has like 7 minutes or something. I like to use you. So each person who's reading, if something comes up, it's very good chance that that might be an issue for all the other people or some of the other people. So we'll just work with whatever comes up, and then we'll refer back to the foundation so we have a deeper understanding of how they, how the role that they play in the prep and everything. All right. So who wants to go first? That's my question. Natalie, I love it. So did you bring something you want to work on, or would you like to choose something from my library? I've got
Happy
a
to
whole
choose.
bunch of scripts to
Yeah,
choose
I'm
from.
happy to choose from your library, Diane.
Okay, lovely. So I'll tell you what I've got. I have um Woody, were you saying something? Oh, right. Okay. So I have audio description, an audio guide for a candy museum, audiobooks, corporates, documentaries, e-learning, English language, holiday video tour,
Okay, let's
medical,
let's do e-learning because I don't.
e-learning.
Yes, I
Okay.
don't do a lot of it at all.
Okay. All right.
So,
Let's see. Which one would be good for you? Oh yes, I have just the thing, madam.
thank you.
Let me pull this up. Okay. So here's just a little bit about e-learning. There's a visualization. We're going to talk a lot about visualization in this workshop because I just think it's so important to have if you have pictures in your mind, the listener can have pictures in their mind. I don't understand how it works. I think it's some sort of quantum physics or something. I don't know what it is. But if someone's telling you about a holiday that they went on, you can see, that little sparkle in their eye that kind of tells you they're reliving it. It brings the read to life. It brings the story to life. So if you can be visualizing something, whether that's visualizing what you're talking about, visualizing who you're talking to, or visualizing what the producers have told you are going to be the visuals on the project. So just as long as you've got pictures in your mind, your read is going to have that another little nice layer to it. So e-learning, what I visualize, and use this if you want, but it really, really helps me. So whenever I do e-learning, this is what I imagine. So, and some of you have heard this before. So I imagine that I'm sat at a round table and my one student, because that's what e-learning usually is one-to-one communication. And that's really important to understand. It's not you talking to a group of people. It's you talking to that one person sat at their computer with their headphones, and they have to learn this thing for their company or whatever. So then there's this one person next to me. I've kind of got my hand not around them, but around their chair. And then on the table between us is an open book, and I'm gently guiding them through this lesson. So what that does is a few things for me. It puts me into acting mode. So I'm in a scene, I'm playing out a scene. And Natalie, I know you're an actor, so this may really help you. But also it reminds me that learning is a vulnerable undertaking. Maybe you guys are experiencing that right now, but it doesn't matter how high up you are in the educational chain. I mean, even if you're an oncologist and you had to go to a seminar, or you had to go and learn something, it still can make you feel vulnerable. So just remember that no matter how lofty the material, someone is still having to learn that and take that in. Okay, so let me share this with you. So what we'll do, Natalie, and everyone can read along as well. So I'm all about sort of keeping everyone engaged, so that you're not just sitting there twiddling your thumbs waiting for your turn to read. By the way, you can learn so much by watching other people work. So if everyone can do me the honor of just staying engaged, stay plugged in. So here's what I want you to do. I'd like you to, everyone, Natalie, read from the top. We'll go down to, actually, we do this whole first page, all right?
Yeah.
So everyone read it to yourself silently. Then Natalie, and you can mute yourself for this next part if you want to. I want you to read it aloud as a practice. Everyone else can read it aloud as a practice as well if you want to, but please mute yourself, okay? Then we're going to walk through the foundations. As we go through this workshop, the working through the foundations will become shorter and shorter, and more of the onus will be on you to walk me through the foundations. You see what I mean? So I'm going to walk us through the first time, and then eventually you'll have to kind of do it on your own. And then eventually after that, maybe not today, but another time, it'll just be instinctive. So you just pick up a piece of copy, you just know instantly what to do with it. All right, so is that all clear? So let's all read that through silently. Should I make that a bit bigger? Is anybody having issues reading that? I am, actually. I'll make it a little bit bigger, my old eyes. All right, so off you go. So Natalie, have you read through it out loud?
Yes.
Okay, alrighty. So, okay, so let's walk through the foundations on this one. So, first of all, what the heck is this? We don't really know, do we? What's the feeling of it? I mean, when you read this, what do you think it's about?
I think it's about you are clearly working with something with quite high security, and they're talking you through some sort of procedure.
Yeah, so it feels quite important. It feels almost military, doesn't it? So yeah,
Yes.
you're exactly right. Some kind of secure
Yeah.
something. I mean, the fact that you've had to have a medical examination, that's not
And
like
clearance
receptionist.
code and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so it feels quite serious. But I'm not going to tell you what it's about just yet, and that's
Okay.
by design because there's so many projects, as you know, that you just don't even know what they are.
Yeah.
So the trick, of course, is to make it sound like you're an expert and you know exactly what you're saying. So let's walk through the foundations. I'm going to walk you through them.
Okay.
So question number one is who are you as the narrator? So in other words, are you a member of Junebug Guidance Services or an outside authority? What do you think?
I think I'm somebody who's internal and is explaining it to somebody who's coming into
Yeah,
this.
yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's tricky these because there really isn't any language like we here at Junebug Guidance Services, but it's a strong choice usually for e-learning because
Mhm.
e-learning is usually in some way sanctioned by the company itself. They might outsource it, but you're still kind of speaking on behalf of the company.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Okay, so probably hard to tell, but who are we talking to here? So who is watching this? Who's learning this?
I think it's somebody who's joining the company or a new department. It feels like there's something new because you're presenting credentials. You've had a medical suggest someone who's new to the department or the position that they've got.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with all of that. Okay. So let's see. So what do you reckon? Again, there's no right or wrong answer here, but what might the visuals be for this?
Um, the visuals to me would be literally taking them through the screens that they would see in order to
Yeah.
do this procedure. So, you
Yeah.
know,
It's like you're seeing the program itself.
it's a walkthrough, yeah, of the
Yeah,
program.
walk a
Yeah,
walkthrough. Thank you. I've been
yeah.
searching for months. Like there's a term for that.
That's
Yeah,
so
like a walkthrough
good.
of the computer
Yeah,
program, whatever it is.
yeah,
Okay, so the system.
yeah.
Okay, lovely. So there's not going to be any animation. There's no live action. There's none
No,
of that stuff. It's just the system with a cursor moving around to show them what to do, right? Okay.
yeah.
All righty. Let's see. So what would a good intention be? Now we need to be a little bit careful here because it's really easy to just go, oh, well, it's e-learning, so my intention is to teach. And that's true, but you can feel kind of how general that is. And if you set yourself an intention of teaching, it's not going to do a whole lot to change your read,
No,
right?
you're
So
informing someone to me. You're informing them.
inform, yes, but that's a little bit more specific than teach, but it's still kind of general. Think more like uh hang on a second. I've got a list. I've got a list. Something like illuminate or inspire or
Okay.
even instruct
Instruct. Yeah.
or guide. Can you feel how
Guide,
like how
yeah.
that's
Guide or
slightly different from
instruct. Yeah.
teach? Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. It
instruct. So
does.
that's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
clearly what we're
Guidance
doing.
or
You're
instruction. Yeah.
instructing them. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we can go with a now again, nothing you need to do with that. You're just making choices. Think of this, guys, think of this like you're feeding, those, I don't know if some of you aren't old enough, but the program cards that you used to, you know, stick into an IBM computer, with the holes punched out. You're
Mhm.
basically feeding your narration machinery a program. And that's, and your narration machinery instinctively knows what to do with it. That's the magic of this. And it helped me so much. And it's helping other people too, which I love. So let's see. So we got your intention. Okay, so let's talk about pace. So what kinds of things are going to affect the pace of a read? Let's take this one for example. So what is going to affect the pace of this? What's going to dictate? That's even clearer. What would dictate the pace of your read?
If it's an instruction, you want to have it quite slow paced.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So if someone's learning this, if someone's having to take it in, that's going to slow it down automatically, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. So what else? A bit more general, and maybe not specifically for this script, but what else is going to affect the pace of a read?
The visuals.
Yes, the visuals, like how they're cut together. Okay, so in this case, we have the, the walkthrough. So you're not going to have the cursor zooming all over the place. It's not going to be that fast. So what else? What else? I'm thinking specifically of content. So, for example, if you had a documentary about jet skis, that's going to be a lot faster paced, probably, than something about the life cycle of the sea turtles, right? So whatever your subject matter is going to affect the pace. So because, and this is kind of bleeds into formality a little bit. Because this is so formal, and so it seems life or death, because it's like security clearances and medical examinations, and probably took all kinds of fluid from bodies or whatever. So it feels quite, you know, formal. So I'm kind of bleeding into the formality now. So where would you put the pace? Just go back to the pace style. So where would you put that on a scale of 1 to 10? Like 1 being super slow, 10 being super fast. There's no right or wrong answer, because you're just kind of
I would say
feeding
between 4 and 5.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. 4 and 5. So on the slower side of midpoint. Yeah, okay, great. So that's your pace and your formality. We are just kind of talking about formality. Quite formal, isn't it? It almost feels like life or death. It's not quite learning how to use life-saving medical equipment, but it's quite formal. I don't know what's going on here, but it's quite formal. So where would you put that?
In terms of, right, I would say.
I'm sorry, I didn't explain. So 1 being super, like 1 being very casual, 10 being like robot hybrid.
I would say this was a 7.
Yeah, I mean, again, no right or wrong answer, but that feels right. That feels right to me. Okay. So that's visuals. That's it, really. So that's it. So now I want to do a read. I want to talk about it, and we'll do another read.
Okay.
Right? Great. And so if everyone can mute themselves, me included. And by the way, just a note, because I see that there's 7 things in the chat. With everything that's going on in my brain right now, there's 0 chance of me looking at something in the chat. So if anybody has anything urgent, you're going to have to, like, I don't know, raise your hand or whatever that little thing you push. Yeah. So into Zoom. Okay. So, all right, Natalie. So when you're ready, let's do it.
I apologize. I'm a bit croaky from the pollen as well. So
don't think when it's not about the sound of the voice. Not at all. It's just how you bring the words out. Okay. So when you're ready.
Welcome to this e-learning for Junebug Guidance Services. In this module, you will learn the basics of the JB-1A platform, which will include logging into the system with your secure passcodes and biometrics, creating an individual or group assignment, navigating levels 1 and 2 of the global satellite system, and transferring a task, project, or assignment to a Tier 3 project manager. To begin, double-click the blue JBGS winged logo in the taskbar at the bottom left of your screen. A dialog box will appear, and you will be prompted to enter your login details. If you have not yet been assigned a secure passcode, you will need to contact the HR department and present your credentials before being cleared to access the platform.
Right, Natalie, sounds great. I'm going to just pause for a moment. Are you moving your hands at all?
Yes.
What are they doing? Can you raise them a bit and kind of show me?
They're doing this, and this.
How tightly are you gripping your hands?
I don't know. I haven't noticed.
Okay. Can I open up those gestures a bit more?
Yes.
Because this can close a read down. Anything that's got tension, or anything that's sort of like self-soothing, like if you're kind of wringing your hands or anything. So I want to open it up just a little bit. But as we're stopped, I want to just ask you a couple questions. So where, again, what I promised in the beginning, where's your head at? What are you focused on when you did that bit of that read?
I was trying to focus on being clear.
Okay. So is it fair to say you were trying to manage how you sounded?
Yes.
Okay, that comes across. And what that does is it keeps you from completely connecting to the listener. So this is one of the things that I discovered, this like magic, because you can actually, I think of it like radar. So what we need to be doing is our radar needs to be, we need to be on transmit. We need to be connecting. That's all we're doing is connecting with the person who's listening. As soon as we start trying to manage our read, how we sound, anything, like you said, I was trying to be clear because I could tell as soon as you started, you were totally focused on managing what the voice sounded like. You were, and that's very, very common, but you were chasing the sound, right? Which meant that you can't really connect with anyone if you've got one of your or both of your ears on what you're doing. So it's like these radars that need to be pointed out, connecting with your listener. As soon as we start listening to ourselves or managing ourselves or like listening, like even if we think it's great, it's still a distraction and it takes away the energy from the communication. So yeah, so that's fine. But gesturing can get you out of that a little bit. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit later. We're going to talk about the brain. Sorry?
Yeah, I think it's because I'm sat down. When I usually read, I'm stood up and my hands are.
It doesn't really matter. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand why you said that, but it doesn't really matter. But
Okay.
I want you to be totally focused on connecting and teaching that person. That's why that visualization I was telling you about, that's why that's so powerful, because you're not really listening to what you're doing if you're completely focused on teaching that person something.
Okay.
Okay. But having said all that, what you did was fantastic. I mean, it's fine. You know, I almost said fantastic. I didn't think it was fantastic, but what you did was fine. And if you showed up in a studio and that was the read you gave, most people would be quite satisfied with that, right? So I don't want you thinking, oh my God, I've been doing it wrong the whole time, because you haven't. But you can reach so many more people on a much deeper level if you do it this way.
Yeah.
If you totally focus on them. Okay, so let me take you back to, and I'm sorry, I wasn't going to stop you, but
No, it's good.
if there's a read that's happening where I think, you know what, let's not get that stuck in the head. I will interrupt if I feel like it's necessary. So go back, if you would, just go back to begin, and I want you to kind of metaphorically have your hand around that person who's listening to this. It's like, it's going to be okay. I'm going to take you through this. You got this, you know? We've got to have that human connection. Otherwise, it's just a really beautiful voice saying words. Okay. So if you go back to begin, double click.
Okay. To begin, double-click the blue JBGS winged logo in the taskbar at the bottom left of your screen. A dialog box will appear and you will be prompted to enter your login details. If you have not yet been assigned a secure passcode, you will need to contact the HR department and present your credentials before being cleared to access the platform. Once you have entered your name, password, secure passcode, and ASC clearance code, you will be asked to use the scanner which was issued to you and calibrated specifically for you during your orientation and medical examination. Please note that your scanner must remain in the lockbox provided before and after each use, and the key to the box must remain on your person at all times.
Natalie, that's fantastic. So I think you've just made my point there. Now, it's subtle, but raise your hand if you really did hear that, if you really did feel more connected to that last bit. Okay, well, Natalie, I'm glad that you raised your hand. So tell me what it felt like, because this is part of the work, is to marry together what we say is a great read with what it feels like coming out. It's what I call calibration. So we want to, so tell me if you notice a difference, what you noticed.
Well, it was just that thing of obviously letting my hands go. And it's that moment of, hey, I'm here to help.
Yes. And you know what? And that's what came across without your brain telling your voice what to do.
Yeah.
That's not the way. The way is connecting,
yeah.
actually speaking from the heart. And I mean that literally from the heart. The heart sends more signals to the brain than vice versa at a ratio of 90-1. The heart is actually, no one says, oh man, my spouse and I last night we had this great head-to-head conversation. No, heart to heart. So here's the pathway. Speaking from the heart through the right brain, which I haven't talked about yet, but I'm going to talk about the two kinds of brain, the two halves of the brain. Speaking through the right brain, that's the creative side, connected to your intuition. connected to your instincts, your impulses. So the mind is really not involved. That's why you do all the prep with the left analytical side. Then you let all that go. Then you're just speaking from the heart. And then the read literally, and I hate it when people overuse that word, but here it's right. The read will literally take care of itself most of the time. Of course, you're going to have those technical reads that were lifted from a technical manual that weren't really written for the spoken word. Of course, then you maybe have to notate, okay, I have to have a breath here, and how do I do that? And might have to add a comma. But most of the time, if you do it this way, you do all the prep and then just let it go. You can always tell when someone is focused on their own voice, even if whether they find it abhorrent or whether they love it. You can tell when those radars are like that. And as soon as you let that go and forget about what your voice sounds, and you've got a beautiful voice anyway, so that's wonderful. But as soon as you let go of that need to manage, to make it something, and just focus on who you're talking to, it's a lot less work for a start, and it just comes across as much more connected.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad you felt that. But now I want you to do the whole thing. All right?
Yep.
Lovely. I'm so glad that you went first.
That was like a total light bulb moment. It really was.
I'm so glad to hear
I've been doing
that.
this for so long. I was like that. I didn't know.
No, because I always make the joke that people are working it like a rodeo clown. You don't have to. You don't have to be like trying to figure out how to say stuff while you're saying stuff. That's distracting. That's really distracting. And here's another secret. The more distracted we are as narrators, the more distracted the listeners will be, because the communication isn't pure. It's like floating around in all of this debris. I'm sure you've seen Poltergeist, a long time ago, but when they go up in Carol Ann's bedroom and all the toys are flying, that's my brain. My brain is Carol Ann's bedroom. But doing it this way, it just clears all that. Okay, so we're going to go from the top, and I want you to just only focus on teaching that one poor, vulnerable person who has to learn whatever the hell this stuff is. Okay? All right, off you go. And I won't stop you this time.
Welcome to this e-learning for Junebug Guidance Services. In this module, you will learn the basics of the JB-1A platform, which will include logging into the system with your secure passcodes and biometrics, creating an individual or group assignment, navigating levels 1 and 2 of the global satellite system, and transferring a task, project, or assignment to a Tier 3 project manager. To begin, double-click the blue JBGS winged logo in the taskbar at the bottom of your screen. A dialog box will appear, and you will be prompted to enter your login details. If you have not yet been assigned a secure passcode, you will need to contact the HR department and present your credentials before being cleared to access the platform. Once you have entered your name, password, secure passcode, and ASC clearance code, you will be asked to use the scanner which was issued to you and calibrated specifically for you during your orientation and medical examination. Please note that your scanner must remain in the lockbox. Please note that your scanner must remain in the lockbox provided before and after each use, and the key to the box must remain on your person at all times.
Really, really nice, Natalie. Seriously nice. So it's so much easier, right? Because you're not thinking about what you're doing while you're doing it. You're not monitoring yourself. You're not managing the read. You're not chasing how it should sound. You're just focused on communication, right? So I think of communication as a full spectrum beam of white light going from you directly to your listener. As soon as you start thinking about you and how you sound and how you're coming across and is this good and how do I say that, blah, 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 some of that lovely light folds back in on itself. And so you're actually robbing your audience of the full impact of your message or your story. So if you think of it that way, like as soon as I start thinking about myself, I'm actually robbing them of the full impact. Then you start changing what you're doing. That was gorgeous. Now, interesting. I'll just share the screen one more time. You left out something each time, and I thought that's really interesting. So the global satellite system, you're actually you left out GSS. You
Yeah.
got to say GSS because you're setting up that acronym. So the global satellite system, GSS, but it was just beautiful. It seriously was so beautiful. Not because of your voice. This is so important. That's a nice added extra. It wasn't beautiful because of your voice. It was beautiful because you connected, and which made me as a listener able to connect. That's what's beautiful. So you were talking, so before you were like, you were here and your listener was here and you got to kind of hear.
Yeah.
That last read, total connection, right?
Right.
And you can feel that. It's like I think of it as a click. You just know when you're in the zone. You know, it's easier for a start. There was one other thing I was going to say. What was that? I don't remember. Oh, if this were an actual job, you would want to ask them how they wanted JB-1A. So
Yeah.
it's actually JB1A,
Yeah.
but using JB, and it's fine, but you want to be careful because sometimes you do a fantastic read and then you find out, oh, the client name has been mispronounced 50 times or whatever. So just err on the side of caution, like how do you want this said, but that's being super picky, because what you just did there, and I hope you can feel that it was really, really good.
Yeah, no, totally felt
Yeah.
a huge difference.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things you go, I've been doing it for this long and I've never spotted
But listen, no, I mean this, because it's the power of these little tweaks that you can make in your focus. It's a little bit like I see your hand, Brad, and I'll be there in just a second. So it's when you start listening to yourself, like I said, whether you hate it or love it, it's still distracting. It's like when you're at a restaurant and you sit across from someone and there just happens to be a mirror on the other wall. You're trying to engage with this person, but you're like, oh my God, is that what my hair looks like? So you're really distracted. It's kind of like as soon as you start listening to yourself, it's the audio equivalent of that. So we want to be as undistracted and clear as much debris as we possibly can so that the message is clearer. Isn't it ironic that it's like you were trying to make it clearer, and what made it clearer was stopping thinking about making it clearer?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we call a paradox, I think.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you, Natalie. That's amazing.
What I was going to say is
Brad.
the difference between the first one and that one. It was like the first one was an AI voice. It was seriously
I'm quite good at those. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure, but not connecting with anything, and then that last one completely connecting. It was amazing, the difference.
You can, but yes, it's more than about. Thank you, Brad. It's more than what you hear. It's what you feel as a listener. And you can't explain it. You don't know why. Like, have you ever been to a lecture and you're like, you just can't keep your eyes open?
Oh.
But it's probably to do with that they weren't connecting with what they were saying. And so it's just, Woody says no offense, but I didn't actually see what you said before.
Don't say no, don't worry, no.
What did you say?
All good.
Never mind. Let's not go into
You
that.
said the first one almost sounded like the Skype call service voice.
And
but no, that's fine. Honestly, no, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
This is how we learn.
But you can just feel it. And you know what else is interesting? And I see this time and time and time again, is that you make completely different choices when you're in that connected mode. And I mean choices about emphasis, choices about pausing, choices about breathing, because it's all autopilot. It's autopilot, and you can go autopilot because you've done really good prep before.
Yeah.
So then you can just let all that go and just go into the zone.
It's interesting. I was just chatting to a game director, and he said the reason he never sends out a script beforehand, all he sends out is character stuff. Because do your work, know your character, be in the character, and then your first read will probably be the one that nails it.
Yeah, because it's not about the words. It's not about the words. Okay, lovely. Thank you so much, Natalie. That was amazing. Who's next?
Go on, someone.
All right, Greg. Love it. You are in pole position. So would you like me to remind you of what I've got, or do you have something of your own that you'd like to work on?
I just literally pick up and sight read. So whatever you've got, throw it up.
No, I've got a rule. I never choose the script. It's because of the mastermind, the divine, whatever. You have to choose it, and that's the experience you get. If I choose it, it's not the same. So
with you at the moment, I haven't set up systems, so
Sorry?
If I choose it, I haven't set up the system to be able to show everybody what it is. So if you can give me
No,
something.
no, but I mean, you have to choose what kind of script you want to work on
Well, I'm
from my
focusing,
list.
yeah, audiobooks. So if you have an
Audiobook?
audio,
Okay, so I've got two different fiction ones. I've got a children's fiction, a nonfiction, and a science fiction.
try the science fiction,
Science fiction, okay, lovely.
children's fiction. That's great fun. That's where I'd
Oh,
rather.
by the way, I meant to tell you, give me just 1 second because
That
I wanted
audio.
to actually tell you. Where did you go? E-learning.
Was the mic enough?
I'm not going to spend too much on time on this, but I wanted to tell you actually what this is about, this e-learning. So this is a practice script in the back of the book. And what it's actually about is it is a computer program or a training program for guardian angels. So it's actually when you become a guardian angel, you get assigned a project, which is actually a person on Earth. ASC is from It's a Wonderful Life, and that is Angel Second Class. That's what your clearance code is. So anyway, that's what that's about.
What does the scanner do to you? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I just needed something I just needed an e-learning script. So there you go. All right. So Greg, science fiction. All right. So now audiobooks sorry to share and stop share and share and stop share. Just quickly. So slightly different prep for audiobooks. So with corporate, you have who am I? Am I speaking as an insider? Am I speaking as an outside authority? For audiobooks, the two choices are usually this is for a single narrator audiobooks, by the way, slightly different for multiple people, but the two choices are usually, am I an impartial narrator or am I a character within the story? Those are the main two. The pace and formality doesn't really help you all that much. The pace might be okay, but there aren't usually any timing restrictions for audiobooks. It's kind of like you just follow the feeling of the story you're telling. So yeah, so the foundations don't work all that well for audiobooks, but they can, intention can be quite useful. Yeah.
Presume the foundations are really applied to each character as you're doing it, particularly if it's a main character or a lesser character. You have to think the who, what, why, when.
Oh yes, but that's character, so that's slightly different. So the foundations, like you wouldn't uh can't think of an example now, but anyway, we'll go through it. We'll go through it. So let me share the screen now. All right, so this is the very beginning of the book, the make-believe book. By the way, I don't know what happens to her because I'm not a novelist, and so maybe one day I'll finish it and we'll find out what happened to her. But at the moment we don't know. So let's go from the top, from Casey's body, and then down to, yeah, let's just do the whole page, actually. It's that last full sentence. So read it to yourself, everyone, if you want to, but certainly Greg. And then once aloud, to get it into the mouth. Now, a word of warning about that. It's really easy to get into this habit when you say, oh, I need to read it aloud. So you go, back in the room, her face damp was wet and her breathing navigated. No, do it at performance level, performance everything, because your system will take that as a rehearsal. So once to yourself silently and once aloud, Greg, and you can mute yourself for that as well. All right, and let me know when you're ready, Greg.
Yep, all good.
Okay. Right. So I don't think there's any pronunciation queries in something like this. It's pretty much pure, what's the word? Narration. It's pure, not exposition. What's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, there's only like a tiny bit of, it's not even character dialogue. It's just something she's thinking to herself. So, yeah, should we just go for one?
Sure.
Okay. No, let's do, what's a good intention for this? Let's set that.
You're setting the location from what I've just read of the person Casey and where she's finding herself. So she's obviously not where she's meant to be. So there's a bit of confusion for her.
Okay, so when I say intention, I'm just talking about like that one verb. Like, what are we trying to do with this story? And if you ever get stuck on that, turn the tables. Like, what kind of ride do you want the audience to have? So what would a good intention be for this, Greg?
Um,
I know you don't have a list of them in front of you, which makes it tricky. Actually, I can fix that. I can fix that. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is something I'm going to send to everyone, or I'm going to send it to Brad. So just have a look on here.
Well, there's explain is the first thing because I just the way that started. But
Yeah, that's pretty dry, isn't it? Explain.
go like you're suggesting is another one.
Interesting. Okay. Try this one. Intrigue.
Okay.
Or what's another one? Mystify. So it's not that important for an audiobook if you just have the feeling about it, but I mean it can be helpful. But if you just said something like entertain, that's most novels on the planet. Most audiobooks would be out to entertain. Anyway, so if it works for you, great. If not, that's fine too. So let's go back to the audiobook. And let's just do it. Let's just do it. It could be, Greg, that your instincts are so spot on that you don't need to deconstruct and go back to, setting foundations. I've had students like that before where it's like, you know what? Let's just scrub the foundations because what you're doing instinctively is spot on. And you might be one of those people. All right. So let's just do the read and see what happens.
Okay. Are we back on? Yes. Casey's body arched suddenly and jolted her awake as she gasped for air. She'd had the dream again, immersed in watery blackness, bubbles issuing from her nose and mouth, her long blonde hair swirling around her head like an ancient sea creature. She experienced the all too familiar feeling of utter helplessness, with arms and legs flailing, searching for purchase, as she desperately tried to reach the surface and ease the unbearable burning in her lungs. Back in the room, her face damp with sweat and her breathing now beginning to slow, she fluttered open encrusted eyelids and could just make out a slowly rotating ceiling fan, which she did not recognize. She was lying on a bed, that much she knew. It was not particularly uncomfortable, but her lower back reported that it was certainly not the high-tech, expensive memory foam that she and Darren had purchased together last spring. Where is Darren? She wondered vaguely, desperate to break through the debilitating mental fog, to remember how she got here and where exactly here was. Her mouth was bone dry, and her lips felt swollen and cracked. She couldn't quite place it, but the taste of salted metal in her mouth was familiar somehow. Had she been drinking? She noted a slight headache, but it was nothing like the hangovers of her youth. Now 30 years old, she had mellowed considerably, and meeting Darren 2 years earlier had brought her squarely into a more mature, responsible phase in her life.
Okay, not bad at all. And I think you kind of warmed into it. At the beginning, it felt a little, I don't know, kind of sharp, like harsh, like maybe it was overly projected. I wasn't sure. But then as you went through and you got into a bit more a softer place in your voice, I just felt like, and again, not the sound of your voice, but maybe you just got more comfortable as you were reading through. I don't know. Tell me what you experienced, Greg.
actually hear my heart beating a lot faster than normal.
Well, do you know what? And this is hard. This is like, I find like performance on Zoom, that's just, I mean, I'd rather be at the Royal Albert Hall where I can't see any faces. It's just lights, not that I've ever done that. So yeah, so this is a nerve-wracking thing. There's no doubt about it. So here's the good news, Greg, is that I think your instincts are spot on. I think your storytelling is spot on, but I think something was kind of getting in your way. Maybe it was nerves, and maybe it was the sound of your heart beating. But I quite like to hear. Oh, and something else I was going to point out, which I really liked, which is the transition between. Let me share this again. The transition between the first paragraph and the second paragraph, and this is something that you did instinctively. I don't think your brain was serving this up. I think this was instincts, which is fantastic. So you recognize right away that that first paragraph is basically a dream sequence. Then the second paragraph shifted, total gear change. Now we're back in the room. So I loved what you did, and it was impulsive and instinctive rather than deciding to do that. Correct? So, yeah, is that right?
No, I decided it had to be different from the first read. If I was
Oh, right.
first
Well,
time I sight read it, I actually saw that it was two separate situations because I
right.
could see fluttered opened encrusted eyelids meant that she had awoken from a dream sequence. So
Okay, well, whatever you did, I loved it. So whether you thought about it, whether you did it instinctively, it was fantastic. So I just wanted to point that out. So I quite like to hear the whole thing again. Now that you've has your heart stopped pounding quite so hard? Okay. So I liked and again, I don't want you to like specifically soften your voice, but just lean back into it a little bit. Here's another visualization which I really love, and it works for something like this for a novel. I'll stop the share for just a second. So, remember when I was talking about visualizing who you're talking to can really be helpful. So there's a visualization that I use, which is kind of weird, but go with me on this. So you walk into a hospital and there's a teenager lying there in a body cast. They can't move. They can only sip through a straw when the nurse comes in. So the only entertainment, they can't play video games. Their thumbs aren't available. So they're in a total body cast. And so for 1 hour a day, they have you visiting them to give them the joy of this entertainment. So, but what this does is like, if you change your view to not doing a good to from sorry, let me say this again. If you change your view from I must do a good job, change that to I really want to give joy to this person who is stuck in this bed. It changes the read. It completely, because like there's something about the gift that you're giving to the listener. If you focus on that rather than aren't I great, or how do I do this right, or any of the thousand things that our brain can serve up, then it just changes it somehow, and it just makes it more connected, more authentic. So that's my theory. So let's do the whole page again, Greg, and just enjoy it now, and just give that joy to this poor teenager in a body cast. All right. So when you're ready, off you go.
sorry, I just say I spent 6 months in traction when I was 4.
Is that why you were? I was wondering why you were smiling. I was like, why is he smiling at that? Are you all right now? Gosh.
Come and sit and read to me, and she was the worst reader you could imagine.
Oh no! Who was that? Somebody you know?
No, a nun used to come
A
round.
nun. Oh, right. Do you remember her name?
These straight children's books because she thought that was what was necessary.
Right. Well, don't be like that nun. Just give the joy to this patient.
Stand up,
Right.
I usually stand up when I'm reading too. So
Okay, off you go.
Casey's body arched suddenly and jolted her awake as she gasped for air. She had had the dream again. Immersed in watery blackness, bubbles issuing from her nose and mouth, her long blonde hair swirling around her head like an ancient sea creature. She experienced the all too familiar feeling of utter helplessness, with arms and legs flailing, searching for purchase as she desperately tried to reach the surface and ease the unbearable burning in her lungs. Back in the room, her face damp with sweat and her breathing now beginning to slow, she fluttered open encrusted eyelids and could just make out a slowly rotating ceiling fan, which she did not recognize. She was lying on a bed. That much she knew. It was not particularly uncomfortable, but her lower back reported that it was certainly not the high-tech, expensive memory foam that she and Darren had purchased together last spring. Where is Darren? She wondered vaguely, desperate to break through the debilitating mental fog, to remember how she got here and where exactly here was. Her mouth was bone dry, and her lips felt swollen and cracked. She couldn't quite place it, but the taste of salted meat. She couldn't quite place it, but the taste of salted metal in her mouth was familiar somehow. Had she been drinking? She noted a slight headache, but it was nothing like the hangovers She noted a slight headache, but it was nothing like the hangovers of her youth. Now 30 years old, she had mellowed considerably, and meeting Darren 2 years earlier had brought her squarely into a more mature, responsible phase in her life. Interesting.
Really nice. Now, I can feel the difference in that. What was that? What did that feel like for you, Greg?
Oh, I made more mistakes because I'd already read it once before and got confused on it.
Well, don't worry about that. And we're going to cover that actually later on, fluffing with grace. Because I could tell that you were kind of like flogging yourself a little bit for making the mistake. Anyway, we're going to talk about that later on. But how did that feel? Because that was gorgeous, actually. That I was really into that. I could picture it. I could follow it. It was like I was like, I just want to lay back and just have you read to me. So how did it feel from your point of view?
The comfortable side of it is where, you know, I see the visuals the whole time. And I don't know, I mean, you might have noticed, like, you know, slowly rotating ceiling fan, I sort of slowed the word down as well, because that's how I sort of read it when I'm reading it.
Yeah.
So I create the visual. I used to do storytelling as for fun with, you know, performance stuff.
Okay.
And often it's sort of like performed rather than just a straight tell.
Yeah, no, whatever you're doing is working. You did say something that made my ears perk up a little bit, because you said something about the way you said something, which made me go, maybe you're thinking too much. But whatever you're doing is working, but you can let that go. I mean, let all of that go, because if you've done really good prep and you know what your intention is, then you just let that drive the read, and actually what we want to do is we want to feel our way through a read instead of think our way through. You know, if you go for a walk in the morning, you don't open the door and go and think to yourself, lift leg, bend knee, put foot down. You know what I mean? You'd fall over, right? So that's the thing with narration as well. If we think about what we're doing while we're doing it, then we're just having a party in our own head. It's not really getting out there. But what you just did was really nice storytelling. But I think that there's room for you to get even more comfortable with what you do instinctively, because I think your instincts are spot on. So just start becoming aware if there's any thoughts about how you sound, or any thoughts about how to say certain things. Because you know that's really, really good. But I think you have the potential of being even better than what we just heard, which was damn good. Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying less thinking,
Yes.
more
Less thinking, more feeling.
That's a really hard thing for me. I mean, even on the trip with Taya around Australia, she said, "Do you realize you narrate everything all the way around? You keep talking all the time, everywhere, you know."
But that doesn't necessarily, I mean, that's not a bad thing. But it's just that when you're performing, the more you think, generally the worse the read will be. This is my experience, you know, because I have an analytical mind, and I have a controlling nature, and I have perfectionism, which can really trip me up, where it's like, no, it must be perfect. Like when I did the audiobook of my book, I gave myself a week. It took me a month, because I was a narrator narrating a book about narration. So the pressure of like, must display good practice, you know, so it wasn't just like I couldn't just communicate. It was like I had all these other plate spinning. It was a nightmare. Anyway, but yeah, that was really good grade. Could you feel the difference?
Well, yeah, it's usually, as I said, I didn't hear my heart racing so much. It had definitely slowed down, which was good.
Good. Yeah, but it's more than just speed. There was a different quality of the performance, and that's what I'm wanting to highlight. Yeah, Brad has his hand up again.
I was going to say, I heard, I saw the visuals from what you were saying. And when you talk all the way around Australia, you don't think about it. You're just narrating off the top of, you're just saying whatever comes out of your mouth, aren't you? You're not thinking about that. And it's the same with the narration. I really heard the pictures the second time.
Yeah, yeah, really good. Now, time is going much faster than I thought, so it's very unlikely that we're going to have two. Well, if we do have another round, it'll be much smaller passages. Yeah, and I quite like that, 'cause I like you to have a chance to have a different read. But I just want to check in. Is everyone kind of taking in what's happening with the people who are reading? And so you can learn an awful lot from that. Okay, wonderful. So who's next? Woody. Let's have Woody and then Lawrence and then Peter. Help me remember that order.
It'll be funny. Now, I do have a script here,
Okay.
and I want to get it to you. Want to do it in the chat? How do you want me to do that?
Is it a Word document
It would be a
or
yeah.
PDF? Why don't you put it in the chat and then I should be able to pull that and share it. You okay for me to share it with everyone?
I don't care. Well,
Okay.
they'll probably see it actually. The only thing that would be different would be the word clever, and it's kind of the product name. So I bolded it, but
Okay. Well, why don't you put it in the chat?
It's in there.
By the way, is there anything in the chat that I need to see? Or Brad, you're probably monitoring that.
Yeah, no, there's no direct questions. I think
Okay.
people are just speaking as they go. So.
Oh, I see. You put it not as a. Can you attach the Word document itself? Because I won't be able to share that if it's just copied and pasted.
It's actually, well, it'll open up in Word. Yeah, it'll
Will
open
it?
up.
If I click on that, that'll open in Word?
Yeah, hang tight. Let me get it to you.
I don't know. Is this starts with you're a busy entrepreneur or ministry leader?
Oh, rabbits.
You
I
could
don't know
try
how I-
copying, and then putting it into Word on your own machine, Diane.
That's what I'm doing at the moment.
Oh, okay.
I
great.
tried that last week with something
All
else,
right.
and it wouldn't paste.
Oh,
It wouldn't copy and paste.
I'm trying.
Well, Woody, if it's a Word document, can't you just share it?
I could, but I don't know if I'm shareable.
We'll make you shareable because I'm one of the co-hosts. I have the power. Multiple participants can share. So just try sharing that.
Okay, I can do that. Look at that, isn't that something? Okay, where am I? Yowza. Untitled one?
Careful not to share the wrong screen, Woody.
Yeah, no, really. I don't want to. Now I'm going to say that. Did you? What did
Okay,
you say?
it's all good.
The
Got it.
yeah.
Okay, so tell me the context of this, Woody. So what is this film for?
So what this is a well, that's interesting because it's a little bit longer than this. It's for a video, like a video for a corporation, for that matter.
Okay, so it's a corporate.
So it's a corporate. So it is corporate, but it's also excitable. So in other words, you're not talking. You're just not bland talking. You're giving it a little bit more personality.
Okay. Why don't you give us how much did you work on this, by the way, or have you just pulled this down before the workshop?
No, this is something that I had done an audition for last week.
Okay, but how many times have you read through this is what I'm asking. Like how hard have you worked on this?
Not awfully hard.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because if you've read it like a dozen times, it would, you might kind of become undirectable. You know what I mean? Okay, well, give us a minute to read through this. Does it start with you're a busy entrepreneur? I hate that word. I hate saying entrepreneur.
Yeah. No. As long as you can see it and you can't see everything else that's on my screen.
I can't see anything else that's on your screen. That's an evil laugh. Now I want to see everything else that's on your screen.
We won't
Yeah.
judge you, Woody.
I judge me too, but that's a
So
different story.
do you say the company name is Clever?
Right. Well, the product or what they're trying to sell
What they're
is
selling? Okay.
clever, was designed with you in mind. Yeah.
Bench.
It's a lot longer than that, but I'm not going to paste the whole thing in there.
So this is not not in a creepy way. That's not the end.
No,
Okay.
it's not the end of it. No.
How much
Just-
more is there? Because this is kind of short. But
Well-
do you want you're all right to just do this bit?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
there's a little bit more to it if you want. I mean, I could.
Well, how much more? How much more is there? Can you scroll?
Oops. Shite. Okay. 18. That's it right there. It's the rest of it.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
Here, there we go. There we go. It's a little
well,
long.
if you're all right to scroll, then I don't mind doing that much.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay. At least the first time through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So
really, the only thing I did was down to the creepy way, and then the rest of it I hadn't even looked at yet.
oh, okay. Well, let's just do down to creepy way. That's the first time I've ever said that. we'll just go down to creepy way, and then
Be
we'll stop.
creepy, okay? Go down to the okay.
Okay, so let's just talk about foundations then. So this
Yeah.
is a corporate.
Okay.
So are you an insider or an outside authority?
I'm going to say that I'm going to be like an insider because I'm going to be like a spokesperson. I'm going to be someone at a conference because what we're looking at here, entrepreneur or ministry leader. So I'm not specifically talking to an individual. I'm talking to perhaps a group of people who are entrepreneurs or ministry leader.
Okay,
whatever.
let's
But-
do one question at a time. So you are, as a narrator, you're an insider. Yeah, because
Right.
you've got the language. We know how to make Google love you. So you already know that you're speaking as an insider. Wonderful. And so now to what you're saying. So you're speaking to entrepreneurs or ministry leaders. Okay, that's all you really need. So what's a good intention here?
From what I can see here, basically you're saying, hey, listen, I know where you guys are coming from. Okay. But we've got something here that can help you. And if these are your problems, we've got that solution.
Okay, can you distill that down to a verb?
Into a verb.
You got to know what you're trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
If you get stuck with that, turn the tables. What do you want the audience to experience?
Well, I want them to experience trust in the product, but I want to
Okay.
convince them of our product.
Convince. So
Being
that's a good verb, isn't it?
convincing, yeah.
Convince. Wonderful.
Listen.
Very exact. Great.
Yeah.
So what are the visuals going to be for this? And maybe the music, if you know what the music's going to be.
The music. I even thought music. So I'm standing in front of an audience of some sort, or they're watching me because there's multiple people, and I'm seeing frustration because you're being burnt out. But wait a minute, and the product is being shown without me. So whatever that solution is, Clever is designed, and we have people. So you may have a shot of people that are working on your behalf.
Okay, I had trouble following that, Woody. Be a bit clearer about what visuals go with this corporate. Like what are the viewers, what are we going to see on screen? People, you said people.
You're going to see people. You're going to see, office, basically the people at Clever who
Okay.
are creative. You're going to see somebody designing something. You're going to see somebody in front of a computer doing your SEO.
Good. So like live action. We're going to see live action of the people at Clever.
Right. Yeah.
Lovely.
going to be, right?
So something I hadn't said before, which I should have mentioned before, is if there are visuals to a project, they are the star. Vision is our dominant sense, like a third of our brains are dedicated to it. So if there are visuals to a project, they are the star, and our narration supports and supplements what's being seen. So just know your place, in other words. But now interesting, because audiobooks, you think, okay, well, there aren't any visuals, but there are actually, because those visuals are in the listener's mind, and we need to
Right.
let them develop. So there are visuals to audiobooks. Okay, so let's see. What are you gonna do with pace and formality here?
It's very informal because it's going to be to a lot of different people. Okay, it could be to anybody for that matter, but people with a problem.
Okay, so where are you gonna put that on the formality dial? Like super informal?
About a 4, yeah.
Okay, all right. And pace. What's happening with
Um,
pace?
Not fast at all,
Excuse
but
me.
understandable because what they're looking at things and they're also listening to me. So the pace is not going to be incredibly fast.
Okay, give me a number.
Um, Fast one is I'd say about a 5.
About a 5. Okay, fair enough.
Kind of midway.
Fair enough. And that's it. That's your foundations. That's really all you need to decide. So, having said that, let's have a read.
And I'm going to put something in front of it to kind of build it. So, listen, you're a busy entrepreneur or ministry leader, and you recognize that marketing is an indispensable part of your organization's success. But you're tired of constantly choosing between burning out and busting the bank. Clever was designed with you in mind. We're your fractional marketing workforce. Our deep bench of passionate creatives and digital marketing experts are ready to provide on-demand project support that ebbs and flows with your needs. Graphic design? Consider it handled. SEO? Let's just say we know how to make Google love you, and not in a creepy way.
Okay, thanks for that. So what I'm getting is a practiced song almost. Have you done a lot of commercials?
I have done commercials, but not a whole lot of them. No.
Okay. Do you have a radio background?
Mm-mm.
Because you have that kind of radio voice.
I know I said that.
What's that?
I said everyone has said that.
Everyone
Yeah.
said that, yeah. So I don't know. It just seemed like,
I was on the telephone for 7 years answering.
oh, tell me about that. Stop the share for a second, Woody, and tell me more about that on the telephone. That's interesting.
So I would have people call in, and I would
Call
say,
into where? To
call
who?
to the work. I can't tell you who it is, but
Oh, okay.
thank you for calling so and so and so. My name is Woody. Thank you for calling technical support. And may I help you? May I have your name, please? And I would have a lot of people say, wow, you should be on the radio. You should be on this. You should be on that.
Okay. Interesting, because it feels like, and again, it's a really subtle thing, but it just feels like a focus on how to say the words rather than the connecting of the message. But and it may be something that you're not even really aware of, but I don't know. There's just like one of your radars is kind of like tuned inward to kind of manage the read. I feel like that's what I feel like as a listener. So tell me what it,
Let me see if I pull them off a little bit, then maybe that'll help. Because I
yeah.
am myself quite a bit.
I mean, you have a lovely, lovely voice. And so, and you know what I found bizarrely is that can be distracting. So I'm sure like, like when Michelle Pfeiffer walks by a department store, she must get a glimpse of herself in the glass and just find that like so disarming. Who is that woman? I don't know, but it's just there's something like when people have amazing voices, that can almost be a distraction. Does that make sense?
When I'm in the booth, I don't have these on.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to hear it without those. Yeah. Or one on, one off.
No, I'm gonna go ahead. I mean, I can hear you enough.
You can hear me enough? Okay, because I
Okay.
shout, so
I
I
can
have the
hear me.
Zoom shout. I'm always shouting. So let's go back to, I'd like to hear you on a different script though, because I don't know. I just feel like maybe you've rehearsed that enough times that that read is stuck in you.
Do you
Okay.
have something else?
I'll tell you what, that's so short. Let's read that one more time, and then I would like to give you something else if that's okay. Something else that's short.
Let's see. Now I lost it. Bear with me here.
I'm sorry, my camera keeps wanting to slip off my monitor.
Okay.
And my cheese is slipping off my cracker, as they say.
Ugh. Cheese is slipping out the crackers. Okay, so let's see what we have. Short. There we go. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. As I
I
close
want
that out.
you to see if you can, even though it's quite conversational, I don't want you to prescribe how you're going to make it sound conversational. So I want you to feel this. What's the overriding emotion here? Is there one? Is there an emotion here that you can hook into?
Emotion. I mean, there's really, I mean, I'm trying to, if I was this person, is to explain how this product is going to help you. I
Yeah.
don't know. Complete
How do you,
emotion.
but you've already established that you're an insider though, Woody. So how do you feel about this product?
Yeah. I mean, I would be proud of the product.
Pride. There you go. There you
Ouch.
go. Hook into that. Yeah. So let's just do another read and we'll see how we go.
Let's see what we got here. Okay. So you're a busy entrepreneur or ministry leader, and you recognize that marketing is an indispensable part of your organization's success. But you're tired of constantly choosing between burning out or busting the bank. Clever was designed with you in mind. We're your fractional marketing workforce. Our deep branch of our deep bench. Our
Sorry,
deep
I launched into speaking to you and I forgot to unmute myself. Um, I'm gonna let this go just because this is one of those corporates which is kind of written like a commercial and it's kind of sounding like a commercial. So I feel, I mean, no disrespect, but I feel manipulated. I don't feel like you're talking to me, connecting to me. I feel like you're trying to sell me something. And so, yeah.
it is kind of a commercial. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it is kind of a
It
it
is,
gets
but I mean, technically it's a corporate film, but it just, and there's nothing wrong with it. With some corporate films do feel like a commercial, but I don't know. I can't explain it. I just would like to hear you on something else. Do you mind? Will you work with me on that?
yeah,
Okay.
whatever you want.
Okay. Because I'm just on the verge of like diagnosing you, Woody, but I want to make sure that I understand what you're doing, like what your gears are doing. So I think something else might give me a better idea. Let me, okay, so here's something with kind of the same flavor. If we could just do the first two paragraphs of this, that would be great. I will give you a minute to read through it. So this is a corporate film. So just the first two paragraphs, but we're not stopping there. So just read through that for me to yourself, and then we'll do it out loud.
I'm going to mute myself here.
But Woody, I want you to read through it silently to yourself first, and then do it out loud.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm just muting so you don't hear everything else.
Okay, but I don't think you're muted now, are you?
I'm muted in a different way.
Okay. How many
I've got
different ways are there to mute?
software over here that I'm not muted through
Oh, I
Zoom.
see. Oh, okay. All right. Fancy pants. Fancy pants. All right. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that is a lot drier.
Yeah, it is. It is. But let's see what happens. If you can just give us the first couple of paragraphs.
Okay. Leadership, teamwork, innovation. Without these core values in the top, can you make it a little bit bigger for me, please?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was hoping that I was going to have a chance to do that for myself as well.
Okay.
Hang on. There we go. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay.
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 Leadership. Okay. Leadership, teamwork, innovation. Without these core values and the top executives in the field, capital co-action would be just another financial products institution. But we are different. And I contracted that. But we are different. How would you do that? Would you contract that?
I wouldn't. I would do it as written first,
Okay.
and then ask, you know, if I could do that.
Because I just did that naturally. Okay. But we are
Yeah,
different.
but this is it's for emphasis really, but we are different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to emphasize the we. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. I'm going to take it from capital. Capital co-action would be just another financial products institution. But we are different. We've been creating the world's premier investment packaging product software for nearly 30 years, and we're stronger than ever before. Because of you, our dedicated team of professionals, the synergistic financial platform, is now the gold standard in the industry. SFP has consistently outperformed every direct competitor since its inception, but we're not stopping there.
Okay, nice. So let's set some foundations. Who are you as the narrator? Insider
Well,
or
it does say
outside
we,
authority?
so I'm going to say probably insider, just for the simple fact that it's talking about we.
Yes,
Now,
absolutely. That's the tip off. We are this. Okay, so you're an insider, and who are you talking to?
that's a good question, but I'm going to say probably investors, potential customers or clients.
I disagree, only because of that second paragraph. Because of you, our dedicated team of professionals. So you're talking to your dedicated team of professionals. So you're talking about people who work within Capital Coaction. Yeah. So you're an insider speaking to other insiders. Okay.
Because of you, our customers, our dedicated team. It's like because of you, our dedicated. So in other words, that just drop the comma right there is what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that's how I'm identifying who you're talking to. Because it says, because of you, our dedicated team of professionals, this product is fabulous. We're doing great things. We're doing this, we're doing that. So this is like a film that would be at an AGM. So an annual general meeting. I don't know if it's called something else in the States. So that's who you're talking to. So this is an insider talking to the troops. Basically it's a big film which is a pat on the back. Like we're doing fabulous things. Yeah.
You, our dedicated team of professionals. So in other words, because of you.
So Woody, I'm just going to point out what you're trying to do is decide how the read should go. And this is what I'm trying to get away from. So this is, so you're saying, oh, you should take out the comma, or I should say it this way, or I should say it that way, or I should stress that. But we want to get away from that. So that's what setting the foundations gets us away from thinking about the read as we do the read. Yeah. So don't try to decide how you're going to say the words, set the foundations, and it will happen automatically. Does that make sense? Are you an analyzer in your life? Do you like to analyze things? No, not necessarily.
We're all going to be analyzers anyway, but
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was a tech rep on the telephone, so.
Right. No, I get that. But do you understand what I'm saying? So the object of the exercise is to try not to think about how to say the words. it's about identifying the parameters of the communication and just focusing on the communication, and then the emphasis and the commas and the breathing, that will all take care of itself. So let's just try that. So we don't know what the visuals are going to be on this, but it
Yeah.
might be, I don't know, what do you think? Like kind of like what you were describing for the other thing. We'd see the people, at their jobs,
Well,
and
yeah,
smiling at the camera.
for that matter, it could be just something, the logo splashed up behind you, for all we know. I mean,
Could be,
I
but
don't
that would be a pretty boring corporate film if it was just the logo. There's got to be something happening, and I would suggest that it would be all the people that they're talking to. It'd be shots of them at their jobs and being happy and going on a team building exercise and paintball or whatever, right? So just like showing pictures of the team, of the people who work for this company being a team. That's what I would suggest. So I'll tell you what, try it again, those first two paragraphs, and just get into the feeling of this, into the feeling of pride. Don't focus on anything else. Just feel your way through the read and just see if it feels any different. Yeah, so just try those first two paragraphs for me.
All right, let's see what we got here. Leadership, teamwork, innovation. Without these core values and the top executives in the field, capital co-action would just be another financial products institution.
I'm just going to stop you, Woody. Can you go back to the top? So what I heard was leadership, teamwork, innovation, right? This is the beginning of the film that's meant to whip up the sales force into a froth. So I want you to punch each one of those like this and this and this. Like this is what we're about. Keep in mind that on top of the visuals, or behind the visuals, there's probably going to be really big orchestral music of some kind that gets everyone's blood pumping, right? To make them go, yes, we work at the best company in the world, right? So just give me those first three words, but just like super heartfelt with lots of pride.
That is a completely different visual now. I mean,
What do you mean?
the visual has changed like 3 or 4 times, but I could do that. That's not a problem.
What do you mean the visual has changed three times?
Well, because now you're saying, it's, I've got music behind me. Well, it could be have music behind me. I could have some, flashy visual, or I could have some. I'm standing up there on the stage. I'm envisioning these things that I would not have envisioned previously, which is fine. I'm developing a little more about what you're talking about what you're.
Okay, it's really just to I really just want you to hook into the emotion of it, Woody, instead of thinking about how to say it. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. So I'm just saying that's my direction is goose the energy. Let's feel the pride. That's what we were talking about. Yeah. So just try the first two paragraphs.
I mean, I could ham this thing up like crazy. I
I don't want you to ham it up. I want it to feel authentic and real and heartfelt. Yeah. Ham is a whole different
It's gonna be
animal.
a little bit of okay.
Yeah. Just
That's
relax into it and let it happen.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say relaxing and energy are 2 different things. All right. Leadership, teamwork, innovation. Without these core values and the top executives in the field, capital co-action would just be another financial products institution. But we are different. We have been creating world premier investment packaging product software for nearly 30 years, and we're stronger than ever before. Now, that to me would put a little bit more of that energy into it if that's what they wanted, if that's what so if that's the energy that, I mean, yeah, sure, I can do that.
But you got to say, what did that feel like when you were doing it though?
Different. I mean, that's all I can tell you. It just felt different.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I
So,
mean, you're heading in the right direction, but you're very in your head.
Right.
Can you feel that? Like you're thinking about how to do it.
I
Yeah.
will say that if I had that direction to begin with, it may have been a little different. if you understand what I'm saying. Now, I appreciate it. I do definitely because that gives me a little bit more to go on. Given that energy, given that, yeah, all right, cool. I mean, I
Okay.
appreciate that part. Yeah, yeah, that
Okay.
helps. It helps me visualize that because you're saying, that this is where we're at. This is what this is doing. I didn't have that to begin with.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Alrighty.
are you
Brad,
going?
did you have something?
Yeah, just a quick one, Woody. I've known you for a long while, and you do, and the whole point of this, as Diane has said, is you do all this work before about what it is, and then you forget thinking so much about how you do it. And I know you always worry about how you're going to say things. If you do all that prep work and just go for it, it'll come out in a certain way. That's the whole point.
I didn't quite have the prep work though. That's the only thing. Is what I'm saying.
Well,
So if I had the prep work, if I had the information to begin with to say, oh, this is where
Well,
you're
you've
at.
got to do your own prep work. Diane's given you the dials and the tools to make your own decisions. Make those decisions to start with, and then forget how you're going to say it and just read it. And whatever those dials do to your read, that's it. But don't think about it so much. That's all I'd say.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'll take you, Brad. Yeah.
Can we take 10? Because we talked about having a wee break. Not a wee break, do whatever you want on your break, but like a short break. I need to go check on my father-in-law who's not well. So if could we just take 10 and come back?
5 past then. Back
Yeah,
by five
perfect.
past.
Perfect. Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay. See you in a
Cool.
minute. Lawrence, hello. I wanted to tell you something. Can you hear me? I don't know if you're aware, but your headphones appear
Yes.
and disappear depending on how you
Yes.
move your head.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
It took me a minute to realize that was not your ears, sort of like, yeah, it's sort of like, I don't know, it's like you got bubbles like poking out of your ears.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's just
Kind of entertaining.
it's Zoom
Right.
for you.
So, Lawrence, you'll be next. If we can just maybe get a jump on it. I know we're still waiting for the people,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's
you know,
fine.
kind of what kind of script you want to work on? Did you bring something, or did you want to choose something?
I thought I'd choose something from what you've got. Probably, I've done quite a few non-fiction audiobooks for various reasons.
Right.
That
Oh,
seems
so would you like to do that or something else?
well, I could try that, see how we go.
Alrighty. So this is about energy healing. Is that all right with you?
Not a problem.
My
Not a
nonfiction,
problem. Yeah.
my one nonfiction audiobook is energy.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's excellent. Yeah.
All right. Well, I won't open it up just yet, but I'll get it on deck. So we're
Great.
ready.
All right.
So yes, it's interesting, isn't it? How everyone's different and everyone approaches this a different way, and everyone you know, has a different past which they bring to how they're communicating today. You know, I don't want to say too much until everyone's back, but
Yeah.
yeah, it is interesting. Yeah.
And everybody has a different kind of sensibility in terms of what makes them tick, I suppose. As well.
Of course, yes, that's what. Yeah, and
Yes,
that's
yeah.
why I ask these questions, which seem kind of intrusive and personal. Like, you know, are you analytical in your life? Are you a perfectionist? Because I am a perfectionist. I mean, I get it. So I understand how different personality traits feed into performance and feed into, you know, taking direction and everything else. So actually there's something else I'm going to send you, Brad, that we won't have time to cover in this, but it's no, actually I'll wait until other people are back. So I don't want to
And
say
Nikki, you're making me hungry.
hungry. I'm not going to send you any
Nikki.
food.
No, Nikki is.
Nikki's making.
Yeah.
Oh, Nikki's. What is Nikki eating?
I don't know.
Crackers, I think.
Sorry, yeah. I'm really sorry. As I sat down, I thought, God, how terribly rude to eat in
Not at all.
But I've got a right pizza with a bit of butter because I'm starving. I didn't have any lunch.
I've got a student who, and I don't know who the coach was. I honestly don't. She said that she had a coaching session and the coach ate through the whole session.
Coach ate.
No.
That's terrible.
Yeah, on Zoom. And I was
Very
like,
unprofessional.
what? That's
Obviously hasn't read the Zoom etiquette manual.
That's crazy. I mean, I have one time when I was with a student and I hadn't had any lunch and I was feeling dizzy and lightheaded, like I was going to pass out. I actually said, "Do you mind if I eat a banana while I'm listening to your read?" And she was like, "No, it's fine." But I mean, I would not eat through the whole thing. That's just crazy.
I'm sorry. As I came in, it was just a Rivita, a little cracker.
Nikki, don't worry about it at all. It was just you were making me hungry. That's all.
I didn't have any lunch.
Okay, we're all back, I think.
Right. So Lawrence is going to do the healing power of life alignment. So let me open this up for you. We were just talking before everyone was back, just about how everyone approaches this work so differently based on, you know, who they are or personality traits or, you know, what their past is, or, you know, there's just like so much that there's as many different, you know, ways to perform as there are people on the planet, you know, so not everyone is going to make the same choices. It is interesting. So the core really is what we're trying to do is connect. So however we can go about doing that, then it's great. As long as the audience, the listener, feels connected to what you're saying. So let me share this with you, Lawrence. Okay, so let's do this whole page. As before, let's read through. So we're going to shorten the whole foundations discussion as we go through. So I'm going to start to wean you guys off of that a little bit. If it goes too fast, let me know. But I really want you guys to start getting just connected to your instincts about how a read should feel. Yeah. So let's do the whole page. Lawrence, have a read through to yourself silently, and then once loud, mute yourself if you'd like. Alrighty.
Okay. Right. Okay.
That was fast. So you read that
Yeah.
through to yourself and read it aloud in that time. Amazing. Okay.
Yes.
I do kind of go into a time warp when I do these things. And
Oh,
so
I see.
like what I think is like a couple of seconds is like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
lose track of time. Okay, so anything you want to, if you were doing this in a session, Lawrence, anything you would want to ask? I don't think there's any pronunciation queries, are there?
Don't think there's any pronunciation things. I think it's a question of identifying the dials of really who it's for. I
Yeah.
think it's
Okay, so over to you. I'm going to let you lead the foundation's chat. So
okay.
what's the first thing you want to know? Keep in mind this is an audiobook and it's not a corporate.
Mm.
So you know, the whole who am I talking to thing doesn't work. But and because this is nonfiction, it's not, we don't really have any characters or anything. So usually nonfiction is going to, I'll cut to the chase. Usually nonfiction is going to be an outside authority or, you know, impartial narrator, but an authority of some kind. You know, you wouldn't have a book about something and then have the reader not sound like they were an expert. You know what I mean? So, but you know, intention, you could have an intention, but I'm not sure it would really help you all that much for this one. So if it's okay, Lawrence, I'd like to go full on Thunderdome with you and let's just do it without too much chat about the foundations and see how it feels. Should we do that? Okay.
Okay.
All righty, off you go.
The foundation stone of life alignment is balance in all aspects of our human existence: the physical body, mind, emotions, the environment, home, a business or organization, and our spiritual journey. Regardless of the area of focus, the same principle applies. Locate and heal the root cause, the foundation. With any variety of symptom that might show up, physical, mental, emotional, or dysfunction in a relationship or business, trying to fix the problem on the upper floors or physical conscious levels will be slow and often unproductive if the cause of the problem, buried in the foundations, is left unattended. Once we identify the unconscious patterns that affect our health and happiness and release the energy blockages that they create, the body is to heal itself. To have energy blocks is to be human. But what are they? And why is dealing with them so important? An energy blockage is simply a form of resistance. It limits movement, flow, and prevents us from living as our authentic self. A block may develop from a physical condition, a mental pattern in the form of a belief, an unresolved feeling, or spiritual misunderstanding. What all energy blocks have in common is that they are old and stuck.
Lawrence, I could listen to you all day. That was fantastic. I mean, so what made that so special? Let's discuss. So what made that? Well, first of all, does everyone agree? Totally connected to that. Yeah, that's the key. Nothing really to do with Lawrence's voice. That's superficial. That's just the dressing. But what I loved about that was, first of all, I was totally locked in. I could follow everything that you were saying. It was at such a pace that the information could go in. I didn't feel like it was dragging, so I wasn't bored. I didn't feel like it was too fast, like I couldn't keep up. It was just like, I don't know, it was just right. So I don't know what my question is. Lawrence, how do you do that? I want you to explain to the group how you did that. Yes? How did it feel for you, first of all? Tell me that.
I think from many years of teaching and having to engage with people who may not wish to listen to it.
Engage. That's what you just did.
I think I want to try and engage, and I'm trying to lift the words from the page. Having said that, I need to make sure that some of these long sentences need to be broken up so that I wanted to make sure the listener could actually take it in chunks, if you like.
Yeah.
So, and then pause to let it sink in a little bit before going on with something else.
Yeah. Now, very interesting, because what you're saying says to me that you're thinking about how to deliver the read.
Yeah.
But what I just experienced as a listener, I didn't catch you doing that. So this is where the gray area is, guys. So there's a little bit of managing the read, but it's kind of way back here in the background. You know what I mean? So it's not like in the forefront of your mind. How do I say this? Where do I pause? Where do I breathe? But yet you've made some subtle choices. So it's almost like your analytical mind was sort of like came in just briefly and then went back again. You know what I mean? And that's not distracting. So what you just did there was you took me on, I hate the word journey, but you took me on a journey, and I learned something because I was totally comfortable listening to you teaching me. And yes, your experience as a teacher is going to really help you in that. Actually, sometimes, depending on what people teach, it can be a hindrance, you know, but you've found a way to kind of to transfer those skills in a really, in a really nice way. And Brad has something to say. What a shock. Brad, what do you have to say?
I just wanted to say, thank you. I just wanted to say it was beautiful. It was really lovely. And what struck me is all of those years of imparting information to people showed in that read, because I think the experience came through that you won't think about it too much. It's just an instinct that you have.
Yeah, and that's the key. Brad, you nailed it. I'm sorry, I was just kind of teasing you. But no, seriously, that was instinctive, and that's the difference. It was instinctive and not, I'm going to decide how to.
I think what I was doing, I was explaining to you what I was doing when I was muting myself.
Oh, right. So this is part of your prep then.
Yeah, and then I went through that, and then I thought, now I've got to go for it, because if I stop, there'll be distractions off. Or so. Although I knew there was only one person listening, I nevertheless presumably must have thought, well, I've got a whole crowd of people because I can see them in front of me.
Okay. Well, listen, whatever you're doing and whatever's happening in your mind, body, voice, it works. So if it's, if it's unorthodox, whatever, but what you're doing works. So keep doing that. Yeah. I kind of feel like I'm cheating you out of some time, but I mean, what can I do? Here's a diamond. Yes. Oh, I don't know. Add another facet. I mean, it's perfect the way it is. So really good. Really good. Thanks you
so much.
Thanks, Lawrence. Right. So that was life alignment. So Peter is up next.
Hello.
What would you like, sir?
Well, I do a lot of stuff for kids.
Yeah.
So I would either love a bit of kids audiobook or a bit of kids e-learning.
Okay, I don't have any kids e-learning, but I do have a children's audiobook.
I heard you say that, so I know we've done some audiobooks, but that sounds
doesn't matter.
Good to me.
Does not matter. Let's do that. This is called Gordon's Heart. I will tell you that Gordon does exist. I won't go across the hall and get him for you, but he is an actual stuffed gorilla that
Okay.
lives here in this house. Okay, so I'll show this to you. Okay, so this is the beginning, and let's go down to, let's do the last full sentence, lit up with excitement.
Excitement.
Okay, so again, read to yourself
Yeah.
silently and then once aloud, and let me know when you're ready.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, it's so funny to watch you all,
Good.
but me not being able to hear anything. Lovely. Okay, so anything you want to talk about? Because we do have some character voices here now.
Yeah.
How are you
Yes.
feeling about that?
You know what? I was kind of just gonna go with what came out. I mean,
I love that. I love that because character voice, that's another whole session. And that
Yeah.
that you know, you can't go wrong really with that. So just all you need to know really is that Gordon is the patriarch. He's like Confucius or Yoda. He's the sage, he's the wise sage. Dilbert is the young, excitable one, lots of
Yeah.
energy, doesn't really know what's happening. Okay.
Sure.
So, yeah, should we, how do you feel about foundations? Again, not a whole lot you can do with reading. I'd quite like to just hear what you do instinctively with this. Is that all right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think you really need to set an intention for this. I don't think it's going to help you that much. If you just know that you're reading to children and you're reading to give joy to children, that's as much foundation as I think you probably need for this. Yeah.
That's fine
All
by me.
right. So let's do it.
Okay. This is Gordon. And that red pillow-like thing tucked under his arm is Gordon's heart. Years ago, when the little black gorilla was first put together at the factory, the small stuffed heart was sewn between his paws and onto his black furry chest. But after a while, he found that he just couldn't express himself as he wanted to. So he let his unstuffed friend, Arietta, carefully separate it. His paws and arms would then be free for all kinds of fun things like waving, bowing, and his favourite thing of all, hugging. Although he chose to have it separated, Gordon's heart is still very special to him. One day, Dilbert O'Sullivan, a grey, speckled primate and a recent arrival at Primrose Hall, asked Gordon about his heart. "Why is it so important to you?" Gordon replied in his patient and wise way. "Well, it's a part of me. It has been with me since the day I was sown. And even though we are no longer connected physically, it is still full of the same stuff that makes up me, my energy. Do you understand?" Dilbert paused for a minute, staring at the heart, trying to take in what Gordon had said. He suddenly had an idea, and his eyes lit up with excitement.
I did not want that to end, and that's the truth.
Thank you.
And that's, you know, I knew you were getting to the end of the page. I was like, no, I want to know what happens. You know, I gotta say, Peter, that was just beautiful, a beautiful piece of storytelling. And I loved what you did with the character voices. I know you didn't have any time to work those up, but just given the little bit of information you had about each character, they felt exactly right.
Cool, thank
Yeah.
you. I
How
like
did
little
that feel?
voices.
How did that feel?
I'm buzzing.
Follow that and
Yeah.
trust that, because that means that you were in the zone. And that goes for everyone. If you can actually, if your cells are fizzing with what you just did, then you had an effect on yourself. That means that you had an effect on the listener.
Yeah.
So trust that.
Yeah, I mean, I am guilty of, you know, I'm trained as an actor, and you know, I am guilty of being an over prepper sometimes with things.
Are you?
And
Okay.
I kind of made a sort of decision with, you know, you talking earlier. Thought whatever you give me, I'm just gonna do it. I'm not gonna, because I don't have time to think about it. I've got one read. And that really worked for me, and I'm gonna, yeah, that's gonna really stay with me. That I will now really make a conscious effort. Not, you know, got to read it, got to know what I'm saying, but yeah, not because that was fun.
But you're totally hooked into the feeling of that, into like the joy of telling someone else a story. That's why I say, if you focus on the gift that you're giving to the listener, and especially if it's kids, I mean, that was a joy to listen to, an absolute joy.
I just love
Yes,
reading to
agree.
kids.
Everyone's, yeah, giving a thumbs up.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, you know, I hope that you and Lawrence don't feel kind of cheated. I feel like I need to give you more of a workout, but all I can say is like that was great. So whatever your process was, you know, ignore me if it gets you to that read. Forget about anything I'm saying.
I
Just
probably just
do it.
nicked loads of stuff from all of the pearls of wisdom that you were chucking out for the last, you know.
I don't know. Do you know what? I mean, as I always say, anything I say, if it works for you, use it. If it doesn't, chuck it away. It's fine. You gotta, you know, all of what we do is an amalgamation of, oh, okay, I learned that bit here, learned that bit here, remember this bit from there, you know? So my job really is just to kind of help people get rid of the clutter that's keeping them from being in the zone. You already in the zone. You know, you don't need my help. You don't need a guide. You're there. You live there. You sleep there. Yeah, I mean, just wonderful, Peter. Well
That's
done.
good to know.
Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you.
Last but not least, actually, no, we might have Brad as well. We have time. Well, you know, we'll see how we go. We have Nikki.
Hi.
Hello. Now, you and I, you kind of probably worked through my list of scripts. Do you know what you want to do?
Well, I know what I
written
want
something?
to do. I know what
Yeah.
I want to do, what I
Okay.
enjoy doing.
What's that?
Well, all sorts of, about 3 or 4, but what I ought to do is something different. I'd love to do a book. I'd love to do e-learning or
Okay.
non-fiction. But what I really don't enjoy doing
Yeah.
is corporate stuff.
So it sounds like you're maybe saying reluctantly, can I have a corporate, please? Yeah, I know. This is sort of like
Make the most of the
hate
session.
broccoli, but I know it's good for me. So
Yeah.
can I have a helping of broccoli, please?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I think if I'm going to make the most of this, let's
Okay,
do
let me
what-
find you some nice green juicy broccoli, at least. So now I have no way of knowing if you've done any of these scripts. So
I've got a
what
lousy memory, so
what about Gladwell and Sons, which is a corporate, but it's a feeling corporate. This is
okay.
got a really nice emotional hook. Does that sound good?
That sounds
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
If you see it and you might go, oh no, I've already done this, then we'll get something else. Right. So I'm gonna make this a little bigger. It's my birthday. I was just thinking like my old eyes, and I was just thinking that my eyes are going to be even older. On Saturday is my birthday.
Happy birthday
Hey,
to
coronation.
you.
No, that wasn't an invitation to sing, but thank you anyway. Yeah, so my birthday is the same day as the new king being crowned. Let's not start that
That's
conversation.
amazing. It's a lovely date, Tam. It's got a lovely ring to that date.
May
Right.
6th. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so this is Gladwell and Sons. It's a corporate, but it's probably the most emotionally juicy corporate you'll ever see. A lot to hook into here. So I'm gonna do I don't want to do the whole, oh, hang on, maybe I can squeeze all of that into one page. That'd be handy. Yes, can you see all of that, Nikki? So welcoming you into our family. Okay, great. So let's do the whole thing. So read it to yourself, then aloud, and then we'll have a chat. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay, so you see what I mean? This is all heart. This is corporate, but it's all heart.
Yeah.
It's about tradition, family, togetherness, teamwork. So what is this film? What's it actually about? What's it trying to accomplish?
I think it's a recruitment.
Exactly.
It's
It's a recruitment film
Yeah.
wrapped in tradition and heartfelt and family and so on.
Yes.
So if you have a look, this is sort of separate from the foundations, but if you have a look at how it's structured, we have that first paragraph, which is almost like old sepia photographs of the ancestors having fun at the beach and whatnot. Then we have a shift to more current times. The world has changed since then, but here's what we are now. Then it's the business end, this is why we're showing you this, because we're recruiting. Then you go back to a bit of schmaltz to sort of wrap it up, like you'll be part of our family kind of thing. So that's the structure. It's not always so clean cut. It's clean cut here because I wrote this and that's what I intended to do. So I know why it's structured this way. But it's always useful, in addition to the foundations, to kind of have a look at where are the gear changes? Where do they want something different? Where does the emotion change a bit? Yeah. So do you want to go through the foundations, or shall we just?
I think I do actually, because
okay, that's fine. So
yeah.
why don't you walk me through them? What are you going to ask yourself?
I'm going to ask myself, going back to my notes, what I wrote while you were talking. I'm going to ask.
So the notes, what I wrote.
Yes.
Going back to the, okay.
Yeah. What I wrote. I'm an insider talking to potential insiders.
Most definitely insider. Yes. Sorry, talking to who?
New inside, hopefully new insiders. They're outside, but we want them in.
Yes, but be more zero in on that. Who exactly are you talking to?
To chemists.
Exactly. Yeah. You're talking to chemists who have what kind of thoughts about family?
We were thinking that they might like to join this company, but not sure yet.
Yeah, but we're talking to chemists who want to be part of a company with tradition and family values. Yeah,
that's what we want.
So that just narrows the pie, doesn't it? So then you've got this really little sliver here, like chemists with a heart.
Yes,
that's like, what's the Venn diagram for that? Like 3 people. No, I don't know. That's not fair to chemists. Okay, so what else are you going to ask yourself?
I'm going to ask myself, what's my intention? And I've always found that difficult. But then you said earlier, if you get stuck, turn the tables and ask what you want the audience to experience.
You did take good notes, Nikki.
I do. I'm very good at typing. Anybody want my notes afterwards? More than welcome.
Yeah. So what kind of ride do you want to give your audience?
I want my audience to experience the feeling of, yes, I want to work for this company.
Brilliant. Love that. So can you translate that into an intention for you as the narrator?
That's my difficulty. Convincing. I want to
good. Convincing is fine.
Yeah.
What do you want the listeners to do?
Apply for jobs.
Love it. Okay. Let me segue into something I wanted to talk about earlier, which is, I love an acronym. So anything we can ask of our audience, anything can be distilled. I'm going to write this down because I'm going to send a handout for this. Can be distilled into one or more of 4 things. We want our audience to do one or more of these things: learn, experience, act, or feel. And it spells out LEAF, which doesn't really mean anything, but I still like an acronym. So do you want the chemists to learn something through this film?
Only about the company.
Okay, lovely.
The company and what a lovely company they are.
Absolutely. Do you want them to experience something?
Warmth about it's a family run business. That's
excellent. Yeah. Do you want them to act? Do you want them to take action?
Pick out that application form.
Yeah, or find out more about the companies. But do something. You want them to take action. Do you want them to feel something?
Warm and touchy-feely about the company. This is
love it. You absolutely got this nailed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's more than one intention that would work for this. Convince is great. Convince to me doesn't quite encapsulate the emotional connection that's in this script. Something like, well, let's just consult the list, shall we? And by the way, it's not an exhaustive list. There's a lot more verbs. I just chose these, but we need something that kind of like is got the heart in there. Maybe entice.
Yeah. Tempt. This could be
tempt. I like that. No one's ever chosen that one before. Tempt. Yeah, that's tempt. And also maybe enchant, something like that. I mean, there's all kinds of things you could choose, but I think you get the idea.
Encourage. Gregor said.
What's that?
Gregor said encourage.
Encourage. Okay, I like that. Encourage.
Inspire.
I like that. Can you feel, because that's got a real spark of emotion there.
That you don't have to think about any. I don't tend to think of it as words.
Yeah.
sort of
Okay.
thing.
And that's fine too. Like I said, if the intention just doesn't work for you, because you have nailed all the prep for this. So
Yeah.
even if you can't identify that one verb,
Yeah.
it's not going to be the end of the world. I've seen
Yeah.
you work and I know that you can connect to things. So, skip that.
Okay.
I mean, you're not going to the no intention detention. Did you see what I did
Very
there?
good.
I rhymed.
Very
Hey.
good.
Hey, okay. So let's go back to the script. Where'd you go? Okay. So actually, Nikki, I think you've done all the prep you really need to do. Unless you want to talk about visual.
No, but I've
We
always
kind of know what's happening.
I just want to say
Yeah.
that I've always, and Diane and I have worked together quite a bit actually, and I've always had a slight problem about this dialing thing and
Right.
preparation. But you've said something this evening, and I'm not going to be able to tell you what it is, that clicked.
Okay.
That's what.
Well, I'm just happy that it did. And so if it changes something,
yeah,
we don't need to identify whatever
no,
that was.
can't remember, but I'll have a look at my notes later.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, let's try to just I'm trying to see what I'm doing. I'm kind of weaning you guys off of the foundations. First, I like force them down your throat, make you work with them, and now I want to take them away, just because the object of the exercise is for you to just connect with your own instincts.
Connection.
And feel, if you can feel it
Mm.
already without going through all the steps and the prep, that's fine. But that's to help you get to that point. So I'll tell you what, without further ado, should we just do a read?
Yep.
Okay. And then we'll see what we're working with. Thanks, Nikki.
We were there when your great-grandfather was getting ready for his first date with your great-grandmother. We were there when your grandmother soothed your sunburn after a day of making sandcastles on the beach.
I'm sorry, Nikki, I'm just going to interrupt you. And the reason is that I don't want you to do the whole read like that and then have me change it. So at the moment, I love the underpinnings, but you're adding way too much mustard to it.
Right.
Right. So
egging it.
We were there when you're great. I think you're just thinking, maybe, tell me if I'm wrong, sometimes I am, that you need to do more with it emotionally than you are.
Okay.
So you're compensating somehow. Can you feel that? But it's like you
I can't hear it, but you can. So I'll just
I can hear it, but I want to know if you feel it, that you have this impulse to add something to the read.
I don't think it's add something, but
okay,
dialing up too high, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know. Just
let me try to
feel it. Feel it, and I'll tell you what. Here's what you do. This is a great thing. If you have ever have trouble connecting to a script, and it's a heartfelt kind of thing, like this is. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Take your right hand and put it over your heart center, right between your boobies, right? Yeah. And so the reason for this is wherever your touch goes, that's where your attention goes. You're actually, I know this sounds kind of woo-woo, but you're actually activating the heart center.
Yeah.
And you're accentuating the heart center. So now, just as a test, give me that first paragraph with your right hand on your heart center.
We were there when your great-grandfather was getting ready for his first date with your great-grandmother. We were there when your grandmother soothed your sunburn after a day of making sandcastles on the beach. And we were there when your own babies were small and you wanted to keep their delicate skin clean and soft.
Okay, so by the end of that, I really could feel that. At the beginning, it was your brain telling your voice to flatten. Could you guys hear that? So at the beginning of that, because I said you were adding too much mustard, and then you took the mustard and the bread away. You see what I mean? So when you did the beginning of that, it was, we were there when your great-grandfather was getting, it was like your brain going, Nikki, take all the mustard out, take all the mustard out. But then your instincts kicked in, and then it was a lovely, lovely connected read.
Should have had my first version when I was muted. Never mind, let's move on.
Okay, all right, but I think you're there. I think you're there now. Now there's one word I want to give you, trust.
Okay.
Just trust yourself, okay? So now we do the whole thing and I will not stop you.
We were there when your great-grandfather was getting ready for his first date with your great-grandmother. We were there when your grandmother soothed your sunburn after a day of making sandcastles on the beach. And we were there when your own babies were small and you wanted to keep their delicate skin clean and soft. The world has changed since your great-grandparents were teenagers, and Gladwell and Sons have changed along with it. We're continually refining our signature products and creating new ones, not only to enrich the lives of our customers, but to help sustain the planet as well. Gladwell and Sons are currently recruiting skilled chemists who can help us develop our range of environmentally friendly products. It's never been more important for large corporations to get on board with responsible manufacturing and creating quality skincare products that don't cause harm to the planet. For generations, our family's products have been part of your life, and we're committed to being there when your great-grandchildren need us. And we look forward to welcoming you into our family.
I love, as you went through, more heartfelt and better. Go right back up and do the first paragraph as if you don't want to wake the baby next door.
Okay. We were there when your great-grandfather was getting ready for his first date with your great-grandmother. We were there when your grandmother soothed your sunburn after a day of making sandcastles on the beach. And we were there when your own babies were small and you wanted to keep their delicate skin clean and soft.
Nice. So we could tweak that until the
Yes.
nth degree.
No,
We
but
could,
it's getting late,
but
yeah.
that was nice.
Good.
How did that feel?
It felt better the first time I read it cold, when I didn't know what was coming. And
Why
once
do you think that is?
I don't know, it's just that freshness. Somebody else, was it you, Greg, said that you like to read things cold? Because you don't know what's coming, so you try and develop read ahead with your eye, and so you got that element of surprise, and which is
Do
interesting.
you think that that you try to analyze, like when you read it cold, it was more instinctive?
Yeah.
Could that be?
Yeah.
And then once you did a bit of prep, then your analyzing brain kicked in. And then you started thinking about it too much. Is it something like that, do you think?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So interesting. So I wanted to talk a little bit, and I want to have you do it one more time, actually, Nikki. Okay. So two things. One thing I forgot to mention earlier, and I kind of alluded to it, but it's the difference between the left brain and right brain. So left brain, analytical, control, wants everything just so. That's perfectionism. That's where your inner critic is. Right brain, creative side, visuals, emotion, all of that. So if you tend to be analytical, and Nikki, would you say that you're an analyzer? Would you say you're analytical?
Not really. It's
Okay.
difficult to say, actually. I don't really know.
Okay. So three great bridges to get you from left brain to right brain. And I don't have a handout on this, so if you want to take a note, please do. So emotion, body movement, kinesthetics, and visualization.
I think you put this in the first thing, didn't you? The very first thing you put up on the.
Never
mind. Anyway, moving on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, those are all primarily right
Yeah.
functions. So if you tend to be analytical and you want to get more connected, great. So visualize, emotion, visualization,
But I could see
emotion,
the
and
beach.
body movement.
I could see the beach. I could see the baby's bottom.
Wonderful. A habit that you have, Nikki, that I've noticed is kind of the opposite of what most people do. A lot of people will have this habit where they lose energy at the ends of sentences and phrases. You have a habit of speeding up at the end of a sentence or phrase, almost like you can't wait to get that done.
Yes, quite.
So you can move on to the next thing.
Yes.
So for me, that reads impatience.
Okay.
For some reason, whether that's you want to get the whole read over with, or you just like, I'm done with that now. I want to move on to the next thing. So it could just be a matter of presence for you and trust. Like stay present in the script. Don't look ahead, because then you're gonna let go of or do something odd with the end of this phrase to get onto the next phrase.
Yeah.
So just something to be aware of. But I want you to do it again. And I, for some
Oh,
reason,
right.
when you did
Yeah.
that, don't wake the baby next door, you kind of went into this read that, which is what I really wanted. But I wanted you to experience that because it's a softer side of you.
Yeah.
By the way, we're not really playing different characters here. We're using different facets of ourselves.
Mm.
And that's what keeps it authentic, because we're all different people from day to day, sometimes from hour to hour. But yeah, let's do one more read of that. If you don't mind, share screen.
When I read next door, the microphone is in a sort of corner of a room with a old chimney breast, and I often just lean against the chimney breast by way of relaxing me. And
oh, that's interesting. Does that work?
It works for me, as if I'm reading like this. It's as if I'm sort of reading.
Yeah. So that helps you be more conversational, more relaxed.
Yeah, be more, which is not.
Why don't you do that? Why don't you? Because I kind of do that when I'm relaxed.
Yes. And try it for this, but you know, your jaw doesn't.
It is going to affect your jaw. So maybe just do a Simon Cowell. What does he do? Sort of does this weird kind of.
I'll try it
half moose.
I'll try it like this. See what happens. See what happens.
Okay. All right. Off you go.
We were there when your great-grandfather was getting ready for his first date with your great-grandmother. We were there when your grandmother soothed your sunburn after a day of making sandcastles on the beach. And we were there when your own babies were small and you wanted to keep their delicate skins clean and soft. The world has changed since your great-grandparents were teenagers, and Gladwell and Sons has changed along with it. We're continually refining our signature products and creating new ones to not only enrich the lives of our customers, but to help sustain the planet as well. I don't like this at all. I think it was better before.
That's so interesting, because I think that's the best read you've done. See why we use the word calibrate, because now you're getting feedback that says that was amazing, but it didn't feel right for you.
No, it didn't feel right at all.
Why didn't it feel right?
I couldn't feel that I was Gladwell and Sons and I was changing, and that our signature products were creating new ones.
Yeah. Were you listening to yourself?
Yes.
You didn't, there was no hesitation there. You were listening to yourself.
Yeah.
So
this
is a problem. This is a problem. This is getting a little audio glimpse of yourself in the mirror. And going, oh my God, is my hair sound, you know, was that what my hair looks like?
Yes, but you said it was okay, which is interesting.
When did I say that?
Just now. You thought it was a better read.
Oh, yes. No, I thought you meant I said it was okay to listen to yourself. No,
no.
No, it was a better read. It was a better read.
And I was getting analytical, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, but because you were listening to yourself. That's what, so this is what I call looping syndrome. And I had this all the time. You speak a bit, you listen a bit to what you're doing, you judge what you're hearing, change what you're doing, and then you loop back around again. How can you connect with anyone with that kind of like spin cycle happening, right? Yeah, Greg?
Can I just say, when my son was very good at a particular game called Go, he wanted to go to Japan and train with them, and he started.
Oh, that's with the little gemstone things.
Stones, but I made the point to him that it's like anyone, when they change to a coach and they start listening to the new coach or the new suggestion, they've got to undo what they already knew technically.
Good point. Good point.
And I think, you're listening to the new you rather than
the old me.
That could be, but however you slice it, you know, whatever you're doing, because you were attached to your instincts, but it's just that you listened for a moment and didn't recognize you, maybe, I don't know, but it's still a distraction.
Yeah.
You know. So do you want to finish the read? I want to take away your time.
No, I'll finish the read quickly. Yes, well, no, not quickly.
Okay. Sorry, and I must be getting tired because I muted myself instead of sharing the screen.
I will pick it up from Gladwell and Sons are currently recruiting skilled chemists who can help us develop our range of environmentally friendly products. It's never been more important for large corporations to get on board with responsible manufacturing and creating quality skincare products that don't cause harm to the planet. For generations, our family's products have been part of your life, and we're committed to being there when your great-grandchildren need us. We look forward to welcoming you into our family.
Yeah, gorgeous. Especially that last paragraph, totally heartfelt.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's really just a matter of, I know it sounds cliche, but it's just a matter of getting out of your own way. So just
Okay.
stop, we have to stop our analytical brains blocking what the heart is trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very useful. Thank you, Diane.
Really good, Nikki. Thank you so much. So
We've
Brad,
got
are
about
you
10
all right
minutes
to
left.
forego your read?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We've got 10 minutes left. I think
Yeah.
you want to open up the floor to questions, or
Absolutely. Let's do that.
anybody got
First of
anything
all,
they want to-
does somebody want to, sorry, Brad, I didn't mean to interrupt
Sorry,
you.
no, go on.
My brain is fried today.
No.
So what did you experience? Does anyone want to share? I'm not going to go around the room, but does anyone want to share an experience that they had? Did you find it helpful? Did you find it useful? It's not me fishing for a compliment, but it's really important for me to feel like,
Very much.
like somewhat like everyone got something out of it. Does anyone have anything they want to say, or anything they want to ask, or just anything?
Just saying, I think when I do say another type of a read, not an audio book or commercial or e-learning, I think your structure will help me in perhaps a new area which I'm not so familiar with, or and I think that would be a good grounding to start with, and then see where we go from there.
Yeah.
I think depending on the genre, you do have to sort of put your voice or your brain somewhere else to make sure.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Lawrence. Every subgenre of narration, every subgenre of voiceover requires a slightly different approach, a slightly different mindset, a slightly different way of prepping, to get your mind, body, voice in the right place. But e-learning especially, because it is that very intimate one-to-one. Again, you've got that vulnerability of the person learning something, trying to take something in. And so the more intimate the read, the more glaring it is when you're not connected, So e-learning is one of those, you just got to feel it. Otherwise it's just going to come out as, it's going to be hard for someone to learn from someone who's, now I want you to, go here and go there. You have to be connected. But Brad, thank you for having me today.
My
do you
pleasure.
have any questions,
Thank you very much to everybody for first of all, join me everybody in thanking Diane. I mean, it really has
a pleasure. It really was a pleasure.
Every time I hear you chat with a group of actors, it just gets me going. I think a couple of things.
I don't think I want to know what you mean by that.
No, gets me going mentally,
Okay,
and about getting me enthused about voiceover. Come on, I'm not like that, Diane. Say no more. But one thing I would ask everybody is that if you did enjoy today, and it really helps Diane, could you post something about the course, maybe with the hashtag WonderlandVO, hashtag Diane Perry. So that would be a really big favor. I know I always ask, nobody ever does, but please, if you could.
That's like me trying to get reviews for my book,
No, but the other thing,
no one ever does.
The other thing, you got it in there, which was the next thing I wanted to say. The name of your book. This is your couple of minutes of book promotion.
Oh
no!
I'll tell you the title.
Tell us the title.
I will show you. I have a copy here. It's called Voiceover Narration. What is the title of my book? Creating Performances from the Inside Out. So it's just what we've been working with.
Absolutely.
Going from the inside out instead of the outside in.
I listened to the
audio as well.
I listened to the audio sample of it. Good.
Yeah, so that's great. So yeah, come back and direct one of our workout sessions, would you, Diane?
Oh, I'd be happy to. I really enjoy that.
Fabulous. So that's good. What else? Any other things from anybody else? Just a quick.
Can I just say, that was a real breakthrough for me today. I mean, I've been an actor for a long time, and then I've recently got into voiceover, and something's just really clicked for me. Is that one of the things I was taught as a stage actor is you learn your lines so well that you forget them, and that sounds odd, but when you've
That
learnt
you're
them
on
so
autopilot.
well that you're not thinking about them, you're doing everything on instinct. And
Yeah.
the different thing with voiceover is you've always got words in front of you. So for me, it's actually now trusting myself that I don't need to be super, super, super familiar. I need to have read it and got the sense of it, and then just go and trust that
Yeah.
first read a lot more, instead of marking it up to the nth degree, and
It
instead
doesn't
of
work. Because
self-editing.
otherwise you're following a roadmap.
Yes.
But here's the distinction, though, Peter. I think one of the distinctions is when you are working on a play, like you said, you rehearse it, you rehearse it, you rehearse it until it's, quote, perfect. Then you take it to the stage. Voiceover, you rehearse it to a point, and then the director takes you the rest of the way, whether that director is you or someone else. So you don't over prep it, because otherwise you become undirectable.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what you did with Gordon's Heart was a joy.
Lovely, really lovely.
Really, really nice.
was
So
lovely.
yeah, well done. And I hope that I'm delighted to hear that you got something out of it, because
Oh yeah.
I always feel like people are cheated when I just go, yep, perfect, next. Well, hang
It's a
on a minute, what about the
validation.
workout? But sometimes that's all you need, is just an outside voice to go, do you know what? What you're doing is absolutely gorgeous. Keep doing that. And because I've had that happen before. I took a workshop in LA, and Ginny McSwain, who's like one of the top animation voiceover people, after I did something, she looked at me, she went, you got it going on. And I was like, oh my God, I was like on a high. I'm still on a high. That was like 7 years ago, So sometimes, not that I'm Ginny McSwain, but you know what I mean? Just someone to go, you know what you're doing is great.
Well, yeah, no, that's where you got me now. Thank you.
Fantastic. Now I must just briefly come to Woody. Now you've been quite quiet just recently. Have you got something out of this sessions? You have? Fantastic.
Woody, I want to say something to you, which is, I know that was a bit of a struggle, and this stuff doesn't come naturally to everyone, but you definitely got like the bones of it already. It's just getting out of your head a bit. Yeah.
I know I've got the bones of it. So, to be
Yeah.
quite honest, I mean, what I read for you to begin with, I was actually shortlisted for. So,
Yeah.
I have that as
Yeah,
part of
no,
I wouldn't
absolutely.
say it was bad at all.
I think the point is, Woody, here are some tools. If you do that preparation beforehand, and then forget talking about thinking so much about how you're going to deliver it, and just see what comes out. Just play with it. Here's some tools. Some people, you don't have to use all of it, but there's something else for your toolbox.
Right. We'll play with it a little bit.
Cool. Absolutely. That's cool. I
All
just
right.
wanted to
Well,
make sure you were good.
I'm gonna have to go now, guys.
Okay.
Well, I will take another question if anybody. Yeah, Greg, or were you
Greg?
waving? Did you have a question? You were waving.
Waving.
Thank you for getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. That was
my
so
goodness.
amazing.
Thank you, Gregory. Just finally, just to say, we've got 2 spaces for next Thursday for the creature thing left. Somebody put whilst we were on. Next Thursday, this Thursday, we've got Katie Lyons from Real Voices London doing a demo crit. So if you want somebody, she's a demo producer. If you want somebody to have a listen to your demo and be real, then come along this Thursday. And anybody here going to One Voice?
Not this year.
Can't.
Oh,
I'm
well, I'm
sorry.
excited.
Working.
Hold on. Katie's not going to be there.
Oh, sorry, not Katie. Sorry, I'm going mad. It's still on my. Yes, you're right, Woody. It's not Katie. It's
So
Ruth
don't
Gibson.
do that to me now.
I know you like Green Wing, and
Oh,
Katie
I
was
want
in
her
Green Wing.
there. But then
So sorry about that. Yeah, it's Ruth Gibson, her partner, who's equally fabulous actress and real producer. Anyway,
again, I'll embarrass you.
I just did that to wind you up, Woody.
Oh, I can embarrass you.
No, don't embarrass me, for God's sake. Anyway, so thank you, everybody. Thank you, Diane. And
Pleasure. Thank you.
yes, I will send out. If you email me all of the handouts, I will then process this video and I'll send out to everybody's email. I usually put it on
I will.
private link.
I'm going to do it tomorrow, though, Brad. If that's
Fabulous.
okay.
No rush.
Okay.
But
Will do.
thank you, everybody.
I'll send you a whole bunch of
Okay.
stuff. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Ciao.
for being
Thanks,
so attentive
Simone.
and
Ciao.
lovely.
Yeah, nice to meet
Good
you.
morning,
Thank
Gregory.
you, Diane. Thank
Well
you.
done.
care.
Good morning, Gregory. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, good
Hey,
morning.
Woody.
Greg.
Bye, Woody.